hide and seek. Prepare to be caught. Here I come now. Let's play hide and seek. Hiding on the playground. No one dares to make a sound. Round and round and round and round. No one wants to be first found.
It is 7:09 now. A Washington State University student is suing Pullman police, saying officers broke his arm, tased him, and choked him while he was being arrested.
Kyle North claims this happened 2 years ago. According to the lawsuit, North suffers from schizoaffective disorder. In August of 2016, a friend called police saying she was concerned about North acting strangely. That night, North drove to a Jack in the Box and asked a manager to call 911 because he was scared. Police showed up and offered to take North to a hospital, but he then hallucinated and refused to leave.
Well, that is when the lawsuit claims the officers grabbed him and tased him. North is now seeking damages, claiming officers violated his Fourth Amendment rights.
Pullman PD settles with Wazoo student for $500,000 after use of force case. Lawsuit documents state that North suffers from schizoaffective disorder, and during an interaction with Anderson and Songerlith, North claims the officers broke his arm, dislocated his elbow, tased him, and choked him until he passed out. Nice. Not so much. Pullman Chief of Police Gary Jenkins has confirmed that the department reached a $500,000 settlement with Kyle North for the use of excessive force during a 2016 incident in which 2 officers allegedly tased him until he passed out, broke his arm, and dislocated his elbow. The department does not admit any wrongdoing in the settlement. Well, if you guys saw the video, you would be it's so disturbing. It's so disturbing. Jenkins said in a statement that my position is that the settlement was a business decision made by our insurance carrier to avoid the cost of a federal trial and the potential for an unfavorable jury verdict. So basically, yeah, well, you get the drift. We do not believe our officers did anything wrong, and this is the worst kind of cop right here. The worst. Just that little piece right there of what he just said says everything I need to know about him. We do not believe our officers did anything wrong, and in fact, handled the call well by employing their crisis intervention training with patients until the circumstances required officers to attempt to take Mr. North into custody. Well, that's not what the video shows. And what they call their crisis intervention training officers, wow. Kind of like the Maori, 50 hours of training in case. This is like this guy's training. They probably got maybe 10 of that. Maybe less. Maybe they didn't train at all. I don't know. But they didn't act like they trained. Like they don't know anything. The officers' actions were to control Mr. North and overcome the physical resistance he was presenting to them. Original story. Days after Pullman Police Sergeant was arrested for custodial sexual misconduct. Get this, you guys? You listening to this? Krem obtained documents about a lawsuit allegedly that Pullman police officers used excessive force while taking a Washington State University student into custody in August of 2016. According to the lawsuit filed in federal court on August 15th, 2018, Kyle North is seeking damages claiming the officers violated his Fourth Amendment rights. He also accused the department of negligence, outrage, battery, and assault. The suit names the City of Pullman Police Department officers Doug Anderson, Michael Songerith, Chief Gary Jenkins, and Commander Chris Tennant. Lawsuit documents state that North suffers from schizoaffective disorder, and during an interaction with Anderson and Songereth, North claims the officers broke his arm, dislocated his elbow, tased him, and choked him until he passed out. On Monday, Krem received a copy of the body camera footage. In their response filed on September 18, 2018, by an attorney representing the Pullman Police Department members, they denied any wrongdoing and asked for a jury trial. According to the lawsuit, North drove to Moscow, Idaho on the night of August 17, 2016 with a friend. Over the course of the night, the friend said North began exhibiting odd behavior and grew increasingly paranoid and expressed concern that he was being followed. Does that sound familiar, you guys? Documents from the lawsuit said that North told his friend that he wanted to be alone and drove off in his car around midnight. His friend eventually contacted the Moscow Police Department because she was concerned about North's safety. Officers asked the friend if North was on any drugs or if he had been threatened to hurt himself. The friend told them no. Moscow police contacted Pullman police for assistance. In bing, 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 red flag, red flag, red flag, arm in arm. Oh, lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. This is Oz all the way. And doing welfare check on North. Lawsuit documents say Songereth, whatever his name is, was on duty at the time and started searching for North's car, which is a gray Lexus, around Northeast Lower Drive in Pullman. When he was unable to find the car, he deemed the matter closed, documents stated. Then around 3:12 a.m. on August 18, 2018, North walked into the Jack in the Box on North Stadium Way and spoke with the night manager there. The lawsuit states that the manager said North looked scared, and North has told him that he feared people were following him with the incident to do harm and that he needed police protection. The manager asked North if he was sure he wanted him to call the police, and North insisted. North said he would feel better if he could sit down and talk with the police officer. Documents from the lawsuit said. Then the manager called 911. The lawsuit said that Songereth and Anderson showed up to the restaurant and both were wearing body cameras that captured the entire interaction with North. The suit claims that both officers knew North was the subject of the welfare check issued by Moscow police. When watching the body camera footage, the officers spent several minutes asking North questions to better understand why he needed help. They ask him what he is trying to do, and if he wants to talk to a mental health professional. Earlier in the body camera footage, officers mentioned to each other, Moscow police was looking for North on a welfare check. When they asked North if he'd been in Moscow with his friend earlier that evening, he became defensive. North told the officer he was worried about his friend. He said she was missing and needed their help finding her. The suit said North also told them he was not feeling well and everything was a blur. And while he was talking, he was rapidly rotating his right hand side to side in a quick, short motions while snapping his right hand fingers. This is where the person that knows about these things, that talks them down, that knows about interventions, things like that, this is where that person would come in handy, because they would notice that these particular things that this guy is doing right here is because he's got something that's triggering him, right? I know that, and I haven't even been trained in this. It's just pretty much common sense, right? Documents from the lawsuit said the officer were later able to confirm North's friend wasn't missing and was the person who requested the welfare check for North hours earlier. The officers also searched North and did not find any weapons, alcohol, or illegal drugs. The suit claims the officers had made no effort to assure North that his friend was safe. Made no effort to assure him that his friend was safe. Songereth asked North if he wanted to go to the hospital and said he would escort him there, the documents show. After confirming that North was not under the influence of alcohol or drugs, a plan was reached whereby Officer Songereth would drive his squad car to the hospital and North would follow directly behind in his Lexus, the lawsuit stated. As they were discussing the plan, North was overcome by an auditory hallucination, documents said. Songereth said North hallucinating and said, "What, Kyle?" Someone said North hallucinating and said, "What, Kyle?" According to lawsuit documents, North said, I need help. Songworth said, "I know. That's why we're going to the hospital. Thank you for helping me," North replied. Court documents said North got up to head to the door, but he still thought there were people outside that wanted to hurt him. North asked the officers to go out the door first, documents said. Songworth said, "Nope, I'm walking behind you. You are not walking behind me," documents said. North started to walk backwards away from the officers and said, "But I'm following you there," documents said. He then moved away from the door and back into the area next to the service counter where he previously waited for the officers, documents said. Now, this right here tells me this guy's got something's going on. And it's in this town. Oh my God, this town. Songworth and Anderson yelled at North and threatened him with arrest if he walked behind the counter, the lawsuit claims. North told him he didn't want to go behind the counter. He just wanted to remain standing against the wall, according to the lawsuits. The officers demanded that North leave the restaurant so they could run a business. Songworth told North that if he did not agree to leave voluntarily, the officers would take him involuntarily, documents said. North had another auditory hallucination, but he regained his composure and asked for a drink of water. When North started to go towards the water dispenser, Songworth grabbed him by both wrists, pushed him back against the wall next to the customer counter. Songworth said, "If you fight me, you're going to get hurt," documents said. The lawsuit claims that Songworth grabbed North's right arm and Anderson grabbed North's left arm. They both pulled North's arms behind his back as they pushed him to his knees and then face down on the floor. North did not resist in any way. The lawsuit said Songworth broke North's right arm and dislocated his elbow. "You broke my arm. He broke my arm. Help me. God, help me. Don't let them do this to me," North yelled, according to the documents from the lawsuit. And let me tell you guys, this is one disturbing video. Like, it is the most disturbing video. Like, I cried through part of it. I mean, it was so hard to watch. So I don't know if I can post it or not, but you guys can tell me after I put this up, okay? The lawsuit said that Songworth informed North that he was in protective custody, that he was going to the hospital, and that he would be expected to cooperate. Anderson and Songworth pulled North to his feet and told him to walk toward the side door of the restaurant. The lawsuit said North hooked his leg inside the office door and fell to the ground, with his upper torso in the office and his right leg extended out into the customer counter. Then the lawsuit said Songworth asked one of the restaurant employees to call paramedics. The suit claims officers continued to press down on North's injured arm and he shouted out in pain. "You're going to get tased in a second. Knock it off," Anderson said. The lawsuit said North started praying, and Anderson told him, You should pray for yourself." Documents said the lawsuit said North remained handcuffed and face down on the ground until the officers decided that they were going to take him out of the office. The lawsuit claims Officer Songworth grabbed North's right leg and Officer Anderson grabbed North's right broken arm and attempted to drag North across the room. North screamed out in pain again. Documents said Anderson grabbed North by his right arm and tried to get him to stand up. North screamed in pain, and the lawsuit claims that Officer Anderson flew into a rage. He removed his taser from his belt and tased North 3 times in rapid succession while screaming, "Get out, get out, get out." According to the documents, Anderson said, "I'm going to pull you out." Lawsuit documents said North begged for help, saying, "Yes, sir, I'm going. You have my word, you have my word, you have my word. Oh, please, God, please help me." As he was pleading for help, lawsuit documents stated Officer Anderson placed his left arm around North's neck in a lateral vascular neck restraint and by the neck pulled North's body to the standing position while screaming at North to get up. Lawsuit documents said Anderson continued to pull back on North's neck until his feet were no longer flat on the floor and his body weight was being held up by Anderson's arm around North's neck. North uttered, "Help me," and moaned faintly before falling silent, the lawsuit said. Lawsuit documents said the paramedics arrived, gave North ketamine, put him on a gurney, and took him to the emergency hospital. The emergency room doctor asked Songworth to explain how the injuries happened. The lawsuit claims Songworth admitted that he took North's right arm, put it behind his back, and reamed on it. The lawsuit claims Songworth said North was combative and that the officers had no choice if they wanted to return home safely to their families. The lawsuit also claims that Songworth failed to tell the doctor that they repeatedly pulled on North's arm and pressed down on his right shoulder and that they tased North 3 times and choked him into unconsciousness. The lawsuit said Anderson and Songrath completed a post-incident use of force report. The lawsuit claims Commander Tennant and Chief Jenkins reviewed the officer's body cam footage and no corrective action was taken against either officer and no further investigation was conducted. According to the claim, Anderson's taser was not confiscated and he lacked certification to use a taser. Let's repeat that again. Say, according to the claim, Anderson's taser was not confiscated and he lacked certification to use a taser. The lawsuit said Tennant's report stated the incident was not crisis intervention related and contrary to all evidence indicates that North was under the influence of intoxicants. The lawsuit states that North has regained use of his arm but has permanent reduction in his range of motion. The suit also said the functioning in his elbow is permanently compromised. Krem reached out to Pullman police for a statement, but what is seen in the body cam footage, they referred us to their lawyers. Chief Jenkins sent this note along as well. In the 2017-18 legislative session, the legislature created the Mental Health Field Response Teams program and approximated $1 million for grants and operation of the program in the 2018 supplemental operating budget for the fiscal year. Well, why didn't they use it then? July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019, the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs was tasked with developing and operating a grant program. We considered applying for one of those grants, but we found that we did not have enough resources in our area to support it. Regionally, the Spokane County Sheriff's Department is a grant recipient. What the hell? Disgusting.